They say history is written by the victors. But what happens when the victor leaves nothing behind? Not a building, not a name, not even a whisper in the wind. In the early 13th century, a city once flourished along the banks of the Amu Darya. Its walls stood proud. Its scholars penned verses that rivaled the brilliance of Baghdad. Its markets echoed with the cries of merchants trading silk, spices, and silver. It was a gem of Central Asia until one man arrived and erased it entirely. Not conquered, not occupied, erased. This is not just a tale of war. It's a tale of vengeance, cold, calculated, and so absolute that the land on which the city stood was said to be cursed for centuries after. That man was Genghis Khan. But this story doesn't begin with him. It begins with a fragile alliance and a caravan. In the year 1218, the Mongol Empire was still young but expanding rapidly. Genghis Khan, once a tribal outcast known as Temujin, had united the Mongol tribes into an unstoppable war machine. His horsemen had already conquered much of northern China, bringing empires to their knees. But now his gaze turned westward, toward the Khwarezmian Empire. The Khwarezmian Empire, stretching from the Caspian Sea to the deserts of Persia, was ruled by Shah Ala ad-Din Muhammad. His lands were prosperous, his cities rich. He believed himself a match, even a rival, to the mighty Mongols. But Genghis Khan didn't come with war. Not at first. In a rare moment of diplomacy, he sent a trade caravan to the Khwarezmian city of Otrar. It was a peaceful gesture, a chance to open relations between two vast empires. Genghis even referred to the Shah as his brother. But what happened next would change the course of history. The governor of Otrar, Inalchuq, arrogant, suspicious, and perhaps threatened by the sudden rise of Mongol power, accused the caravan of being spies. Without trial, he ordered the entire trade delegation, some 450 men, executed. Some were tortured. Some were buried alive. Genghis Khan was furious. Still, he offered the Shah one last chance. A diplomatic envoy of 3 men was dispatched to seek justice. Their message was simple: punish the governor, make things right. Instead, the Shah made a fatal decision. He had one of the Mongol envoys beheaded, and the other 2 humiliated and sent back with their faces mutilated. It was not just an insult, it was a declaration of war. What followed was not just a military campaign, it was annihilation. In the winter of 1219, the Mongol horde surged westward across the steppes like a thunderstorm. City after city fell. Bukhara, Samarkand, each was laid waste, its population slaughtered or enslaved. But Genghis Khan had saved a special fury for the city of Nishapur. The city had initially surrendered. It had been spared. But in the months that followed, the local resistance sparked an uprising, and in the chaos, one of Genghis Khan's sons-in-law, Tekuchur, was killed by an arrow from a Nishapuri defender. This was personal. According to some accounts, Genghis Khan handed the city's fate to his daughter, Tekuchur's widow. The Mongol army returned, and this time there would be no mercy. They killed everyone: men, women, children, scholars, scribes. Not even animals were spared. Some chronicles claim that over 100,000 people were massacred in a single day. The numbers may be exaggerated, but the horror was real. And then came Urgench. Urgench was the jewel of the Khwarezmian Empire, a center of learning, trade, and Islamic scholarship. Its canals and gardens rivaled those of Baghdad, but it was also the Shah's hometown. And for Genghis, it represented the heart of the betrayal. The siege of Urgench was brutal. The defenders fought with ferocity. Street-to-street battles raged for days. Mongol casualties were high, something rarely seen. The city would not fall easily, but it did fall. And what happened next has been called one of the bloodiest massacres in human history. The Mongols gave each soldier a quota: 10, 50, 100. Each man was to kill a set number of civilians, not with arrows, not with fire, but with swords. Close, intimate, personal. They say the Amu Darya ran red for days. Corpses were stacked like wood outside the city gates. The screams echoed so loud that travelers hundreds of miles away claimed to hear them in their dreams. Urgench did not survive. Not just physically, but spiritually. The city never recovered. Its libraries were turned to ash. The scholars erased. Its legacy buried. But why? Why would a man as strategic and brilliant as Genghis Khan choose to completely annihilate a city instead of occupying it? The answer lies in fear, in power, in message. Genghis Khan knew that domination didn't come from weapons alone. It came from memory. He wanted the world to remember what happened when you betrayed the Mongol Empire, when you killed his envoys, when you crossed him. Urgench became a warning, a ghost, and that warning worked. In the years that followed, entire cities surrendered at the mere rumor of Mongol riders. Gates were opened, tribute was offered, resistance melted. But what's most terrifying about this story is what we don't know. You see, Urgench was not the only city wiped off the map. Other cities, perhaps just as vibrant, were so thoroughly destroyed that their names never reached our history books. No ruins, no bones, no legends, just dust. It raises a chilling question. How much of our past has been lost not through time, but through intentional erasure? What cultures, what philosophies, what truths have been buried not by nature, but by the will of men? And in the shadows of that forgotten city, can you still hear the silence? Because silence, after all, is the loudest mark of extinction. This was not just conquest, it was deletion. And Genghis Khan was not merely a conqueror, he was a ghostwriter of history, deciding what would be remembered and what would never be known again.